Mic check, mic check. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Great morning. July the 5th. Here we are Monday morning, CTM together, setting it right over here. Heath, good morning. I saw Heath was live a little while ago on Trade Talk. I hope y'all got to catch that this morning. Ready to go with you all. We're taking a look over here at what our new price predictions are. Before we get into it, I want to make sure everyone's on the same page as myself. I really do want to make sure that, by the way, what's going on? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, getting ready here for our live stream. Wherever you are right now in the world, I hope you got some coffee. I hope you got some matcha, some tea, some water, some life juice. Oh, how much I love my life juice. You know, listen, if you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. We're getting ready to do what we do here, and that's take a look at the market, all markets, and make sure that we stay on the right side of the trades of the most important trade that matters, Bitcoin, especially during the bull market phase, 2021. We spent a lot of time setting up for this moment, and now we have to make sure that we continue to get it right. Price continues to go sideways. Bitcoin price continues to go sideways. Is there possible further downside risk? Jesse's bringing a nice look at what we could possibly be looking at, how price is currently really in a fractal basis matching the current price action of the past price action of Bitcoin 2017, the year of the bull, bringing back to what exactly today's current price is relative to the last bull market. Give you some fresh perspective. Before we do that, what's our long-term plan and what has changed since? If we're talking about price predictions and new price predictions, where Bitcoin currently is, what has changed since this last update, as you're going to see? I think it's October or November 2019. The only thing that has changed is 1 year has passed. No longer are we looking at 12 years and 3 more halving cycles. It's now 11 more years, right? Getting close to 10 years. Time continues. In 6 months, it'll be 10 more years, right? And 2 more halvings. Let's take a look at this. Let's start over here.
The potential. Focus your time horizon over the next 12 years. Over the next 12 years, we will have 3 halvings, which is the reduction of the miner's reward by half every 4 years. And it is widely expected to have probably close to a 1000x over the next 3 halvings, with each reducing the miner's reward in half and thus the selling pressure on Bitcoin. Stay on the right side of the market, continue growing your Bitcoin, do this over the next 12 years and over the next 3 halvings, and you are going to build a fortune. 1% of your income in Bitcoin and the rest in cash will outperform the S&P 500 as it has handsomely. Bitcoin is by far the best performing asset over the last decade. Decide for yourself if it is worth investing in light of this information. In my opinion, the reward by far outweighs the risk and quite possibly is the best investment opportunity of our lifetime. In 1990,
now, the best opportunity, in my opinion, do your own research, right? It's exactly what it said. This is November the 6th, 2019, outlining the bullish case for Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is probably the best investment, the greatest investment opportunity of your lifetime, right? Do you have more Bitcoin, from back then till now? Do you have more Bitcoin? What about these current, the current 6 months, 2021? Bitcoin, by the way, did you see that video? The price of Bitcoin? Oh, it's a different one. We'll get to it in a little bit. We're going to give you some really good perspective as we look at, the video that put out in this channel January the 1st, right? Or was it December 31st, 2020, last video of the year? Bitcoin is trading at $28,000, except nothing has changed, right? 6 months has passed. We're mid-cycle over here. What are we looking at the peak over here? Has this changed over here, 260,000 to 410,000 Bitcoin? Right? We need to take a look at that all this morning. Again, Jesse's going to be giving us what he believes the current fractal, the current price action is currently tracking in 2017 and what that could mean on the downside as far as risk further and what that could possibly lead to. Before we do, I want to start with that video. I'm not sure if it was January the 1st or December the 31st, 2020 or 2021. I want you to look at the price of Ethereum, the price of Bitcoin, right? 6 months earlier. Or 6.5 months earlier, not even 6 months earlier. Look at that as you listen to this little segment over here.
Now, you all know that I have gone ahead and I've set my sights on 140 Bitcoin as the target. Mission accomplished. All the goals should be achieved, right? 160,000. That would be using actually diminishing returns. In my mindset, whenever I run a marathon, it's kind of like until I get to like mile 18, I pretend to myself that it's just beginning. Well, when I go on a really long drive, for the first half, first 3/4, I pretend that like the drive is just beginning. And it really helps me set my whole mindset. It's the same thing here with Bitcoin. This is how I have my mindset programmed over here. And as we get over there, right? And maybe then it's game time, and then maybe I really need to focus in with all of you, and we need to make sure that we do our best to get out the best we can as close to the cycle top. And I do believe there's going to be a cycle top over here. I do believe that we're going to enter that bear market. There's a lot of other stuff that I wanted to focus in on. I think I could come over here and show you this over here. I have an indication of when we're going to be seeing.
We'll get into that in another day. It's all so important, and you all miss it, right? All this stuff is on the Bitcoin playlist, by the way. I feel like, why it is better to organize all this information so that those that are just joining us, those that have been here for over a year, everyone, myself right here, as I say to you, we're halfway there. This is just 6 months ago. I'm talking about you're halfway through the drive. You got to continue mentally preparing yourself what's next. I do believe there's going to be a cycle top. There's going to be a blow off top, and I'm going to try my best to exit at the top of that, right? Nothing has changed except people need to focus, right, on what's the most important. The only way you can achieve your goals is by setting realistic goals, right? And then doing what you could. Did you see Justin's video over the weekend on the growth mindset? It's so important. If I'm putting this work in, right, I'm reminded of Lance Armstrong, right? Now we all know Lance was, he won, how many Tour de France's did he win? I think it's something ridiculous like 7. But Jordan, he was using some performance enhancing things. Okay, and who wasn't, in his industry, right? Nevertheless, the accomplishments that he achieved are extraordinary. It was his work ethic, right? It was his work. I remember him calling Lance Ulrich, and it was January the 1st, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And Ulrich is like, "Oh, I'm all hungover. I was out last night celebrating the, He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just finishing a 100-mile ride, training, January the 1st out there. Who's out here today, right? Monday, July the 5th, doing what they have to do, right? In order to make sure they stay on the right side of the trade, the right side of the market, mentally prepared with that mindset that you need. Otherwise, what happens? You're getting like, the wind is blowing you. You have no foundation, no stability, right? And you're making poor decisions. People wondering, Jordan, what's going on right now? Bitcoin trading at what? Right? What is Bitcoin trading? Bitcoin's trading at $33,633. Did you see that video December the 31st? What was the price of Bitcoin? Well, it was $28,000, right? Well, what has changed? Well, nothing has changed. 6 months have passed. Oh, okay. So wait, we're still targeting, $140,000 mission accomplished. 160,000 is diminishing returns, but I don't think anything of that is happening. I mean, I think my price prediction remains exactly in the same window that it was when it was put out. When was this put out? I think it was put out in April. Let's go ahead and check that really quick. I don't want to watch this video today with you
personally,
but
so this $260,000, right, as a minimum.
So 3.5 months ago, and that's exactly where I think we are today. How are you positioning yourself? All right. Did you buy the dip? I bought the dip. Well, is this as low as we go? No, I don't know. We could go lower. Are things uncertain? Yeah. Things for me have been ever since May the 14th unclear, right? And things has that picture clarified since May 14th? No, it hasn't. Things still remain unclear. I'll have more clarity once we break above the most important trend line in crypto. As of right now, we have to worry, or not worry, but understand that it's quite possible we have further downside risk, right? Jesse, actually this morning, I'm saying know your downside risk. Have a plan in place always. This is, July the 1st. Jesse over here updating us what's going on. He's like, I'm looking at the potential risk. Right now, the current price action, You can see this is Jesse's price action. Look over here. He's lining up the fractal, what he's doing, of what is happening now with what happened in 2017. And he's saying, look, the price action right now seems to be tightly and closely mirroring. Over here in blue is 2017. In white is 2021 over here, 4 years later. And he's just pointing out, I don't know if this is going to continue, but right now we have continued mirroring for this particular time that price action. And is it possible that we dip down further? Is it possible that we dip down into this area? He's like, look, if that happens, the positive is then we'll have a V shape probably expected from there, right? And it all could happen. There's no way anyone should be taking risks, especially right now. There was a time to take risks. That time was after Bitcoin broke out to the bull market, right? Back in July 2020. And then it was still uncertain and we were riding position so high, retest, resumption off. This was the place to take risks. This was, for me, this is the place to be trading, lightly leveraged, working your way up, building that. And then all of a sudden, wait, the bullish structure definitely broke down. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. Did you know on this day over here, by the way, you look at this candle. This is May 11th, this little green candle, right? At this point, this is very bullish price action in place. Yeah, we took out this last swing low over here. Price, bouncing up pretty quickly. And as long as we got above this area, it could have been off to the races. Did you know that Powell meant on May the 11th with the CEO right after going public, Coinbase CCO. What is a CCO, right? CEO. Look, this has been all over the news now. This is posted by Business Insider 2 days ago. I saw it a few days ago on Twitter. You could see that the Fed normally meets with people ever since the crisis on Zoom calls, right? Some type of video conferencing. He met with the CEO, Brian Armstrong, in person. It was on the public calendar. He met in person, and then talking with the former CFTC chairman also at that particular time. Is it a coincidence? That's where we saw Elon tweet, the next day, and we saw some whales intervening in the market, and all of a sudden, Bitcoin has come off substantially. It could be a coincidence. It's probably a coincidence. I mean, it's weird they met face to face. Who knows what was said? We certainly don't know, but it's not unusual for people of power and influence and to meet behind closed doors. That's what they do. That makes sense to me. All right, but what are we looking at right now? Let's take a look. Jesse's pointing out the further downside risk and whether or not we are perhaps mirroring more closely the current price action that was taking place in 2017. Not sure, right? We have it lined up. Here's the model over here. This is the current beta model. What we're looking at, and what really matters is the most important trend line in crypto, right? That's what really matters. Always be aware of that possible downside risk. And that's not to say we couldn't even take out the support around 27,000, 27,500. By the way, do we have anyone here live with us this morning? Or is we have 800 people, 200 likes. If you could pause for a second, stop whatever you're doing, right? Whether before or after you take a sip of coffee, go ahead and smash that like button. So show some support for the channel and the work we do and help other people take a look at what's going on over here on Conquering the Markets, right? PD Capital bringing up that we just had one of the biggest, what was it, a 27 or 28% adjustment difficulty to the biggest difficulty adjustment ever. You're seeing Bitcoin in real time showing that coded monetary supply works. After over 50% of the hash rate comes offline, the software is able to update for absolutely mind-blowing. They're going to be talking about this in econ classes decades from now, right? And then we have Michael setting it off before, talking about it's easy to tell who has the work ethic. Each and every one of you here today, whether you're watching this live right with me right now, or you're watching this later on the replay, right? Putting in the work that's necessary. CTM, the best team ever, without a question. What potential are you looking at from here right now, right? Are you looking at $140,000 still mission accomplished? Are you starting today? And if you're starting today and never even made an investment, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure I get this out to everyone this week. Like I said last week, I'm either going to, make this a shareable document, or which is probably the easiest, so that as I make adjustments and or edits, right? As I did this morning, I added this over here this morning. I had, right? Listen, people are like, yeah, okay, you plan on exiting the cycle peak, Jordan. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. When I point out I've been on the right side since December 2018 bottom, and then the sharp move off the accumulation to low, front run the halving. And then I added this part this morning. And I think if I make this on a shareable document, whenever I update it, it's a lot easier than if I put this out on the website, because then it might not be getting updated in real time, and actually might be quite behind, different versions. I was making the case for the bullish case for Bitcoin on this channel, beginning with Bitcoin in the range between $7,000 and $8,000, right? And adding to my position during the dollar liquidity crisis, March 2020, doing this all with all of you, Bitcoin between $4,000 and $5,000. I was fully positioned in with half my net worth into Bitcoin, $9,000. Half my net worth, Jordan, the halvings priced in. How could you consult past models, Jordan? Why would you even think of the 4-year cycle, right? Well, I put my money where my belief was, where I ran the numbers. I did my best to understand the most important trade that matters, the value proposition. Could I have invested in the stock market? Could I have bought the Nasdaq? How would I have done? Was that the best place to put my money? But Jordan, the halvings priced in. Why would you consult the 4-year cycle? There's no 4-year cycle. Bitcoin today trading at what, $33,000? The bull market breakout. I did all this consulting the 4-year cycle. Will I continue doing that, or have things changed? Has Bitcoin changed now that the institutions are here? Right? Is Bitcoin entering some type of different behavior now that the institutions are here, or now that, Fed chairman, not, the Davos crowd, the elite, taking a poke at Bitcoin? Or were they behind actually getting Bitcoin to be the hash power, 50% of it in China, geographically located? Now, we all know that on Bitcoin, the miners don't control anything. We all know that. It was never a problem for Bitcoiners. We've had this war before, and those running the nodes won. We all understand that and knew that. Nevertheless, we are seeing a bunch of hash power, right, at an opportune time, leaving China, being distributed throughout the world, further decentralizing Bitcoin. What side are they on? Who knows? I certainly don't know. I'm aware of all risks. To me, at this current time, as I said throughout this bull market phase, the only risk that I see to Bitcoin would be the monetary policy of the Federal Reserve and the central banksters. Right now, they continue those monthly QE purchases at record pace. No one's pulling off the gas yet. Now, we're watching what happens, between the rest of the summer over here, to see whether or not they signal a policy change coming up anytime in the future. I don't think so, and it doesn't look like that. Nevertheless, if that's what happens, we're going to know right away and make sure that we continue to keep that focus we need. That's the most important thing that we're watching right now. Is the most important thing the price of Bitcoin over here right now, $33,500. Look, I bought the dip. I bought some at $39,000, $33,500. I let you all know, right? It was over here. I added a 1.75 Bitcoin in this area, right? And I was currently up. This is just using my BlockFi, right? Forex on the trade. I'm buying the mid-cycle dip. Where does that leave us going forward right now? If this is the bottom here, and I don't know that it is, right? Always beware of your downside risk. Look at Jesse. I just went ahead and liked this. Let me go ahead and retweet that, just so other people could see what he's looking at. They have this video as a guide to see how that looks like on the chart over here. Ted adding in a view. We don't know what's going to happen. We have no idea what's going to happen going forward, right? Now, nothing's changed. The bullish case for Bitcoin has only drastically increased from 2 years ago, when the long-term plan is put out there, right? Do I believe that we're currently mid-cycle right now? Very strongly. By the way, what was the video I showed you? Oh, this one over here this morning, when I start talking about the long term. If you go a little bit further, right after we ended, what it says is, it talks about, the bullish case for Bitcoin, and then the first argument I use is comparing it to the internet and its adoption play. It's really interesting because if you go back, and I'm not going to do it now with you, maybe in the weeks
The
ahead or another
potential.
particular
Focus.
time. But if you look at November 2016, and then you're looking at where we are right now on the adoption cycle, this tweet that Raul shared a couple of weeks ago that we looked at a few different times. And if you look at where we currently are today, which is early, right? We are over here, 2021. If you look at where I started making the case comparing Bitcoin, right, and its adoption curve to that of technology and of the internet, we were over here in November 2019. And look what's happened since, right? You've seen the number of wallets, the number of users continue to grow, and not only continue to grow, actually a little bit outpacing the curve. It's growing a little bit faster than the internet did in comparison, but nothing's changed though. It's the same bullish case for Bitcoin, right? It's only gotten more bullish. Why has it gotten more bullish? Well, it seems to me that the Fed's losing control. Perhaps fast, perhaps suddenly. Michael Saylor talks to us about last year, the dollar lost 37% of its value, right? Up until then, it was 7% a year, but it was devalued. The purchasing power was devalued massively during the crisis as they increased the monetary supply of their balance sheet by 40%. They increased the monetary, they increased the number of dollars in circulation by roughly 40%, right? Has the bullish case for Bitcoin increased or decreased, or has anything changed? Nothing's changed on my mind. The same arguments that we've made and held to continue to play out. People might look at the price of Bitcoin being perhaps pretty volatile over the last 6 months, but we're in a bull market phase. You want the price of Bitcoin to be volatile. Now, everyone really likes when the downside volatility was limited to 30%. Right? People are first complaining, wait a second, the volatility is really limited. Forget the crisis, 63%. Everyone's memories are very short. Because then they're like 20% drawdown, 20% drawdown, we're only seeing 20% drawdowns. The institutions are here. And I did say the whole time, well, I don't think that's the case. I think that we're going to see 30% drawdowns, right? And that did happen. And then after that, I was like, well, watch out. We could have up to a 39% drawdown. I don't think we have more than a 40% drawdown, right? And here was a 30% drawdown. I thought the V was in. We had a 53% drawdown so far, much greater than I was expecting. 13% more. And I wasn't expecting it. It wasn't because the institutions were here or anything like that. From what I was seeing, the volatility downside had been less. And all of a sudden, now I'm able to see clearly, oh, wait a second. What happened was we were seeing that increased volatility from the last cycle, but not as much as the first, right? But the volatility remains, whether it's to the upside, now to the downside, or in consolidation length, so far in average of those previous two cycles. Not more than the first, less than the first, not less than the second, more than the second, right? An average of the two. Will that continue going forward? We don't know. That's my expectation, but I don't know. Is it possible the Fed tightens over here, and then instead of looking at that window between $250,000 and $320,000, the sweet spot of what I'm looking, that we have actually Bitcoin underperform this cycle, right? Maybe only trade $160,000, diminishing returns, right? Maybe, but listen, $140,000, mission accomplished. Jordan, I'm not positioning down where you are. Well, that's either because you weren't following the work we were doing, which is completely possible, and didn't have the opportunity to explore yourself, and make up your own mind for the bullish case for Bitcoin, right? Or you just didn't believe it back then. But right now I'm looking at Bitcoin trading around $33,000, $35,000, mission accomplished. That's still a 300% gain. Do you think that you're going to get that in any other market? What market? In lumber's off pretty heavily. Copper, uranium, gold, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, or maybe you could just play roulette and like, throw the dart and hope you get lucky with some type of individual security in the public stock markets, you know? Or I mean, good luck if they do lose control and we do enter some type of super cycle, hyper Bitcoinization, because I don't think that like your investment into Square, personally, this is my own opinion, is gonna, it's gonna go up, but you know, Bitcoin. That's where we are. That's what we're doing over here today. What are we looking at? Look, we still have this line of hope in place, and it's holding. The price is holding so far above it. It's a line of hope only because you hope it doesn't break. If it breaks down, why there's this support, these trend lines coming the whole. Look, I'm just gonna move this over here for 1 second, just so you understand what I mean visually. Like you could see this area of resistance back into May, and then I move forward. At the end of May, it's resistance. It was support over here in June. It's a light line providing again in June and into the later part, of June. It's providing an area of what should be support. I'm not saying that we go down towards this yellow line or even lower, because I could just also at the same time move these over here and I could see, oh wait, that's clear as day. It's a little lower. That support. I don't know where we're going down, but I do believe if we break this blue line over here, that we're under pressure. We're definitely under pressure at that point. So whether or not you're looking at this as a possible, what would this be? Bear flag. Yep, that looks like a bear flag to me. There's no question about that. That's a bear flag, or any other type of pendant you might want to make it look like. The only thing that's important is that line over there, that trend line. A break below it, that puts us under pressure. And then if we take out that last swing low over here, it's coming around Bitcoin 32,500, then we're really under pressure. I would expect that this white line, this trend line over here, coming in somewhere around $30,000. Yeah, just above $30,000. That would be like a possible place if this swing low is taken out, where we could put up, a possible defense and hold support there. And if not, again, we go lower, and these lines are not really guides. They go throughout. So that's not what I'm focused on. I'm just currently focused right over here on this trend line. If we break this trend line, I will wait for the first line of repair to look for where that structure changed, and we got some bullish momentum to the upside. But that's not happening right now, or even anything close to it. This is another view of what possibly could be happening. Crypto Burb, right? Is that Crypto Burb? I want to make sure I get that right. A good follow. I've been following from afar his work for a very long time, because I want to make sure I understand who has a history of being correct, right? He also, when I was there were two other people that I know. It was Jack Sparrow, Crypto Burb, and myself, and I'm sure there are many others. I just don't know who they are. That right around $3,000 was calling that bottom in December 2018. Why? Because I was consulting the 4-year models. Without the 4-year models, it would have been impossible for me to do. And what he's saying over here now, he's giving you a really nice look. What is this? The line over here. This is the 200-day moving average, right? But he's showing what capitulation looked like. And right now, we're going to be following something more like this, where we had a capitulation, and then we put in a lower low. This is an Adam and Eve bottom. And then price rounding out is able to revert back to the mean, and then maybe even begin its next bullish stance. Or are we seeing something more like in the March 2020 low, where you had that strong capitulation? Jesse's pointing out that, well, if we do break down hard and lower, then we should have the V, right? Or are we looking at perhaps this continued rounding sideways price action that we're seeing right now? And, whether we are or not, those obviously are the two possibilities, the two main possibilities. But it's when we break the most important trend line that matters in either one of those scenarios that the momentum continues. And that's what we continue waiting for. People getting hyper focused in on what the current price is and what the next move over the next 24 or 72 hours might be. But that's really not important. You are looking at us basing out over here, most likely waiting to break the most important trend line in crypto and then resume up, or a greater capitulation event, which could happen and take out some more leverage in the system. We'll see what happens. I obviously don't know. Year of the bull he's talking about right now at Bitcoin $30,000, right? Did you see the interview with Year of the Bull that we did a few weeks ago on this channel? Real, I'm amazed at the quality of his work he's put out since. It was like this was the when we had him on CTM, it was like, wow, his work closely aligns what we're doing, right? And then like since then, the amount of tweets and the quality of the content that he continually puts out, he's an excellent follow. He's a really good follow. And what he's talking about right now, you're seeing Bitcoin at $30,000. And we've always been saying, or I've been saying, like, this is like 2017 July. Now we're entering to August and price hasn't shot up, So this time is different. It's rhyming, but it's not the same. That was a sharp spike, right? Now could our timing be off? It's hard to get the timing down to the week, to the day, right? We just want to be as close as possible. But as price came back during that mid-cycle shakeout, July 2017, to the golden ratio of 1.61 fib, right? As it's doing right now, the equivalent of 30,000 Bitcoin is Bitcoin trading at $1,800. That's what it was trading at back in July of 2017 as it came back and tested the golden ratio over there. Where do we have it over there? Let me pull it up really quick as we're talking about. I know you all are so familiar with it. We've looked at it so many times. But as Bitcoin is trading in the mid-cycle shakeout, back to the golden ratio, getting ready for the last 5 months of its run, it had a 10x from here. That's the equivalent of Bitcoin trading at 1,800 and then going to trading to $19,400. Is Bitcoin right now at $30,000? Does it have a 10x in it? Is it possible that we could see Bitcoin trade at $300,000 and or above, right? Now going back to what my sweet spot is, yeah, that's between $250,000 and $320,000. That would be price actually not outperforming the previous cycle the rest of the way in, right? Now I'm telling you the way I view things is that I see price is currently an average of the previous 2 cycles, right? To the upside, to the downside, and sideways halfway through. Now it's possible that doesn't continue, and maybe we see price then have diminishing returns and fall off, or maybe we see price continue to outpace the 2013 cycle. I believe it's going to continue to be an average, right? And for it to be an average, by the way, right? That's taking me right to where we were, higher than this little area over here. That's why I have the potential upside risk. Upside risk. What a beautiful thing, right? But if we just match what happened last cycle, and that's not what's been happening so far, we've been outperforming it. Yeah, we're still looking at a 10x from over here, Bitcoin trading within that range, right? Make sure that whatever you're doing, you work out the numbers, and if Bitcoin only trades to $140,000, mission accomplished, right? Because $160,000 diminishing returns, that has been consistent and has not changed. Only, I got caught up, in the hype part over here, the hype part of the cycle. And I think that, even though I'm set and my investments are set because I was very calculated in the way that I was deploying multiple strategies, I feel like I have to do a better job of making sure that everyone, is able to focus on what's in front of them, what's going on medium term, our awareness, and the bigger picture. Now, the bigger picture gets all the way as high as looking out 12 years or 3 more halvings. Think in terms of halving. Or now it's 2 more halvings. That's the bigger picture. But right now, if you're focused more on like what's going on in midterm, right? And I'm looking at us being mid-cycle, right? And until the goal accomplished, because if Bitcoin trades at $140,000, if it's not a given, you want to feel really good about what you did during this bull market, right? You're still looking at a potential 300%, a 3x from where we are. Now, again, just to clarify, I don't think that's what happens. I think we trade somewhere in that range between 250, which is a 645% return. That's as if you did position in where I did, right? And towards that mid-cycle high, $60,000. Is that potential? Is that still a possibility? It's still a possibility. I mean, it's a risk. You're managing your risk. That's what you do as a trader, as an investor, as a saver. You're managing your risk, right? What's the risk to the downside? Well, Bitcoin could go to 0. What's the probability of that? You have to understand Bitcoin, right? Do you think Bitcoin could go down to $20,000? look, anything's possible. It would be weird. It would be unusual. Actually, Bitcoin's never prior broken its golden ratio. This would be the first cycle, right? And the past cycles are only guides. It's not saying that this is going to play out exactly. But so far, mid cycle, Bitcoin's never traded below that golden ratio. Is the bottom already in? I mean, most likely that has not changed my plan A since the capitulation event. Now, something like Jesse's presenting and showing us, is that possible that could happen? For sure, it's possible. Be ready for it. We will see. We don't know. What we do know, or what I strongly believe, and that's not with a certainty either, but I strongly believe my my skill set as a technician of understanding price, reading price, and can you imagine how many hours of experience I have? But over 20 years experience, what I'm looking at is once we break that trend line, the most important trend line in crypto. Here's a look at it on the model Ted's presented for us, and here's a look at it over here on my trading view, right? Once we break this most important trend line in crypto, at that point, we're looking for the momentum of the second phase of this bull market to continue, and then we will do our best to make sure that we stay on the pulse of the market. And then when we get into that window where we're looking for that cycle peak based on many different factors, awareness points, following ultimately price, do my best to determine when that top is going to be. All right, let's play some Honeymoon over here. And Honeymoon vocals this morning we have. No. I'm going to drop some head snack, Taco Tuesday on a Monday, right? And then we'll get see what's going on next.
Markets, analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing, just to pretend they're in fashion. Hit the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room, grab the bull by the horns, up to the moon. Flow from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
Oh, yeah, John. For sure, the technicals are so bearish right now. So, that's true. I think it's wrong. It's not wrong. Listen, you have to understand where I'm coming from because I've spent all my time creating, distributing this information from where I'm coming from. Right now, if someone else and other people, they might be saying, listen, Jordan, where you're saying things are unclear and get neutral, I'm seeing them as very bearish, right? And that's correct. There's no question about that the structure is definitely gotten very bearish over here. And I understand why anyone saying that, like I was wrong about the silly bears, right? Because the bears aren't so silly. When you have a 53% drawdown, that's like Bears got game, right? Now I'm looking at this in the way that I present it to you and for my investment and my time horizons, right? But anyone looking right now and saying, well, this looks pretty bearish. Oh yeah, I get it. There's actually something else I wanted to look at over here. This goes back. I'm not even going to get into it, but this is on the thumbnail, right? And this is the bullish case for Bitcoin right here. This is not sustainable. All this means is that what they're going to continue having to do is to continue to greatly increasing the amount of money that they're expanding their balance sheet by. Forget a $4.1 trillion increase. The next increase is going to be more than that. Is it going to be 10 trillion? I have no idea, but it's going to come eventually. That's the bullish case for Bitcoin. We'll talk about it. But right now, I want to focus a little more on the technicals. I don't know what indicator this is down over here, but they're showing some type of bullish divergence. You can see the bearish divergence as price was making higher highs. The indicator was making lower highs. And now we have price making, not really, right? Price hasn't made that lower low. From the beginning and the day after, my base case was that this is the lower low. If we trigger down lower, we would then be looking at this being an accumulation phase and look how to trade it. But if you look at the true trend, right, it's showing the same thing over here. You can see the price is making the higher highs. The true trend is showing that bearish divergence. And then right now, if you're looking at price making, lower lows, and then true trend making that bullish divergence now. I mean, so yeah, I get that price is bearish near term. Those who are like focused on smaller time frames, but you're gonna do much better off. And I've been consistent about this since forever. Like adjusting your time preference, right? You're gonna do so much better having a low time preference. So yeah, you really need to work on that. A low time preference. I'm sorry, a high time preference. I got that confused over there. But yeah, is it possible we're seeing this type of bullish divergence occur? Is it possible this line of hope? It's a line of hope. If it does, that's just a happy surprise. Don't expect it to, right? And if it does hold, and then we even wind up breaking the most important trend line in crypto, then this line will become very useful for us. We'll be able to extend it out, and then most likely, not a given, but the remaining bull market phase here, that trend line should hold, right? It will actually wind up going much higher before we break that bullish structure. But listen, until it does prove itself, obviously it's just a line of hope. We'll see if it holds. If it does hold, it'll provide a very important tool for us going forward. Prepare for it to break. Be prepared for the worst. What is it? Hope for the best. Hope for the best. Here's the line of hope. And prepare for the worst. So Jesse, I think that the work you shared definitely helping prepare people mentally for what could happen in the very near term. And as Jesse also mentioned, listen, even if that does happen, probably the expectation of some type of V move, and that that increases greatly. So where are we? Good session over here on this July the 5th, Monday morning, out here making it count, and it was a good session. A really good session. I'll play some honeymoon vocals and see if there's anything else we should address. Well, thank you for sharing this. I want to see this for sure. I mean, Greg just making that bullish case for Bitcoin. People wonder where all that money could come from in order to bring Bitcoin not to $100,000. Right? But, how do you get to $500,000? How do you get to $1.6 million Bitcoin? I want to see that. Thanks for letting me know about that. Yeah, right? It was Plan B. I first heard say no one's ever lost money holding Bitcoin 4 years or longer. Let's go with the year the bull worked that down to 3.5 years. This is so true. Not the dreaming part. The dreaming part's not true at all. Speculate. This is all speculation, right? Well, is it speculation? No, this is actually I would say more investing, speculating why trading lightly leveraged. As momentum was there. This is more investing. But listen, it's the same art. There's no argument there. The argument can't be you're just dreaming. That was absolutely the same argument that was given to me as price was trading at $7,000-8,000, right? And I'm telling people price is going, to $160,000. People gave the same argument back over there. November, October, the bear market got to them, right? October, November, they're telling me, oh, when I position in half my net worth, telling people why and what I expect to play out. Listen, all I could say is since then, everything that I have determined or thought or perceived would play out has played out, right? So if you're here telling me that like, oh, well, yeah, being on the right side, laughing, listen, I'm on the right side. I've been on the right side, sometimes even getting a little like telling people, 7 months, 8 months ahead of time that Bitcoin, why still in the bear market, not yet broken out, is going to be trading December $18,000 and why I think that. And then you see that occur. People in September, Jordan, you still think Bitcoin's trading at $10,000? That Bitcoin is going to trade at $18,000 in 3 months? Yep. So, who's dreaming and who's speculating? It sounds like you're speculating against Bitcoin. I'm speculating in favor of Bitcoin against the current financial system for many different reasons, but most importantly, because of its current, where it is in its current cycle, bull phase, bear market, accumulation, front running and halving, doing it again, there's a big difference over there. But people are not educated. People have not done their research, and people like to take a poke at the king. Bitcoin is the king, no question about that. All right, what else? I interrupted the music, the mood, the honey mood. Okay, let me fix that.
Now, you all know that I have gone ahead and I've set my sights on 140 Bitcoin. Do this over here. I have an indication of when we're going to be seeing that next cycle bottom. You all have known I've said, well, Bitcoin is cheap under $35,000 because I don't think that we're going to trade under that in the coming bear market. I have to kind of go.
Wait. And listen, this was done December 31st. And I'm telling you, listen, I think Bitcoin at, under $35,000 cheap because I don't think in the coming bear market we trade under that. I've updated that to $55,000. Now, as price traded up, I said, listen, I don't know that this is the low. It was Bitcoin $50,000. I'm not going to call this as being the bear market low because I can't do that. But I feel strongly that in this area, is going to be where the bear market low is. And in that context, I've said, and right now reiterate, that I think Bitcoin $55,000 is cheap. And why? And again, as we trade up towards $100,000, how long it takes, I don't know. Do I have an idea of when it will be? Yes, I do, right? As we trade up towards $100,000, I'm going to just reiterate, Bitcoin, in my opinion, $55,000 is cheap. I think people will understand that and why. But here we go, staying consistent to message, explaining why I did that in the first place. It's because I believe in the coming bear market low. Now that changed as we started the accelerating price behavior, right? As I saw that this current cycle of Bitcoin outperforming the last 2016 one, not seeing diminishing returns. I'm not seeing diminishing returns. It's possible we see it. It's not my base case, but it's how I did all my work from the very beginning, and I explain the work over here. Again, when's this video done?
Before, you guessed it,
February the 15th,
another
2020.
84%.
Explaining what I'm using as a price target for the coming bull market cycle, how I use diminishing returns to get there, and therefore why I set a goal that I believe that I could meet. I want to meet my goals. 140,000 is mission accomplished. Now anything higher, and since then I think it's going to be higher because what I'm seeing is this cycle actually outperforming the previous cycle. So I do believe that we're going to see, a target well beyond that. I believe my sweet spot is going to be hit in this area. It could even go higher, but I'm just going to watch what happens and try my best to get out to whatever that top is. So there's a little bit of director's cut bonus footage, right? Bill, I didn't get your email. No, I don't know what your email is. If you need to reach me, Bill, just private message me on Discord, and then, that way you'll get me. All right, everyone. And I'll look for your email if possible. Definitely this morning, Bill, but I haven't seen it. All right, everyone. Thanks for the time this morning. If you're watching this on the replay and you made it this far in, conquering the markets all day long, I'm so glad that you're here. It's good that you're here. We're gonna make sure that we continue to keep our blinders on, to keep focused, to not get caught up in the wind, right? I don't care if people are bearish or bullish today. I'm in the bull market phase, mid-cycle. I'm super bullish from where I'm coming from. Is it possible we see something different or something happens in the market? If there's a crisis, by the way, in the financial markets, stock markets are closed this morning. Equity markets public markets are closed. They take off, so we're not even going to discuss them or anything like that until tomorrow. But what else did I wanted to say? There was something else I wanted to share. Oh, yeah. I mean, we don't know that the low's in. We don't know that the golden ratio holds this time, right? We do know that in any past crises, remember I said I don't think this trend line broke if we never had the dollar liquidity crisis. Technically, this trend line over here, that lower area of support, would have held if it weren't for the dollar liquidity crisis. Now, we could have some type of crisis that we're not aware of, or some type of just, capitulation event. It could happen, If it happens, I do believe it's going to be short-lived. It's outside of the model. Why would you consult the model? It's how I got over here. It's how I got here, right? So that's why I continue to consult the model. It makes the most sense to consult something that has been proven correct for so long until it's not proven wrong, correct anymore. And what's the downside if for any reason that the 4-year cycle, the model with 3 phases, bull market phase, bear market phase, and accumulation is no longer proven correct, right? Does that change the bullish case for Bitcoin at all, right? Does all of a sudden, is there something out there that's a better opportunity, a better asset to own than Bitcoin? Or might we be looking at something like a suppressed accumulate? I can't fathom how that could happen or why that could happen. I mean, it all comes down to supply and demand. And simply right now, as it is the summer, what could have changed is this. Here's what could have changed. If the market right here is not dependent on retail is doing its thing over here. Retail is buying the dip, right? There's no question about that. You're seeing on-chain inflows coming from their small wallets. Retail's all over it. Now, what happens with Wall Street during the summer, right? People are, out in the Hamptons doing their thing. There's no question about that. It's why we talk about forever on our equity side of trading, why there's that summer lull. The sell in May, and come back in the fall is a real thing, right? People come back in the fall, first week of September, back from Memorial Day and or Labor Day, whichever it might be, and they're sitting there and they're getting back to work and they got targets they need to, accomplish by year end to get those bonuses. But in the summer, the volume's not there. They're not there. Is Bitcoin now going to be reflecting or mirroring more of that inflows of money due to seasonally time of year? That's a possibility. I mean, that could very well be in play. It's not that they're looking for a longer accumulation stage and the institutions are accumulating, or I don't believe, or anything like that, right? And by the way, if you're an institution, if you're a fund, if you're a family office, and you want to accumulate Bitcoin, you're buying on the bid. Why? Because you want to do it before the next guy gets in there. There's a scarce amount of Bitcoin, right? There's a scarce amount of Bitcoin. Only so many people are going to get it. So when you start seeing people, as you know, talking bad about Bitcoin, getting at the FUD, that means that they're sitting in there and they're buying the dip and they're dipping in. Retail's done it. Might it be more seasonal? Waiting to the fall, I don't know. But when it happens, the most important trend line in Bitcoin, in crypto, will be broken and will be off. And we'll have that momentum. Is now the time for you to be trying to pick a bottom to time it, or are you buying the dip? I bought the dip. I didn't try to time it at all. I'm simply dollar cost averaging over here, with a 50% drawdown mid-cycle. It bought my average cost up from just above 9,000 to just below 9,500. Yeah, but whatever. I did the work and I worked for it. And if you're not, and you don't even have a position right now, again, I don't know that we hit 250,000. I don't know that we hit 320,000 and have an 8x, or if we have that 10x in us that we did, in the 2017 bull market phase for mid-cycle. It's a possibility. You might want to own some in case it happens, but you want to understand your risk. And if Bitcoin trades down to, $18,000 from here and comes off another 50%, you have to understand why you're not selling and most likely buying more. Base case, mission accomplished, 140,000, 3x from here. What other opportunities do you have out there that you think might offer a better return for a better risk? I don't know of one. That's why I'm here. All right, good session, everyone. Thanks for spending the time with me. Bill, I'll take a look for that. Everybody, moderators, thank you so much for all you do, for making this such a good experience for all of us. I'm really grateful for it. For each and every one of you, this morning I stepped on here. I have to be honest, I didn't want to get up this morning. My little brother's visiting. We're out there. We're so active, and I wanted a little bit of rest, but I want to be here with all of you and for all of you. That's what's important to me. What's important to me is that people make decisions today that changes their life and their future tomorrow, right? And that you don't get the easy way. It's 10 years is going to be here, but whether you like it or not, 2 years has passed since I told everyone, my 12-year plan, the next 3 halving cycles. But it's still early. You still have 2 more halving cycles. And not only that, you still have half of the bull market phase from the 3rd halving cycle. In my opinion, not financial advice. And if that means for you that you need to start following the ramen noodle strategy and making sure that you're not spending more money than you make, even if it means you're eating ramen noodles so you could save money, so you could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, right? Because that 10 years is coming, whether you like it or not. And it's going to be here pretty quick, right? What does a man's life pass in a blink of an eye, even if it's 70, 80 years? That 10 years is coming quick. Where are you going to be tomorrow? Are you going to still be talking about like, oh, you guys are all dreaming? Well, so far, all that dreaming has led to achieving. There's nothing else that dreaming has led to but other than achieving. And it was the same straw argument put up when Bitcoin was at $7,000, $8,000. You're dreaming. Why would you follow any type of model? And here we are today. Bitcoin trading at $33,600. Thanks for spending this Monday with me. July 5th is something that we're going to talk about one day when we're all together. It's something we're going to talk about. Those days that we put in that extra work, right? And it's why we're able to see, with the clarity we're able to see, why we're able to make the decisions we've made and continue to make, right? When everyone says it was easy, when everyone says, oh, we'll know what was up, we'll know what happened. It's all on video, So everyone, have a beautiful day. Thank you this morning for all those spreading that light, spreading that love, greeting everyone, setting the vibe in here. It's very, very, very special. I'm very, very grateful for it. And it takes a lot of work. Thank you all for all of your effort, all of your contribute, all of those who contribute, each in their own unique and special way. All right, everyone. Tomorrow we got, a big day as the equity markets open up. as the market's pricing in a long weekend. And most importantly, we have a live FX training session directly after our live stream. I'm looking forward to it. The streams have been absolutely fire now after a few weeks of doing every Tuesday and Thursday, feeling the flow in the FX, looking at those Japanese yen setups, potentially entering the market. We're going to see if we could go over there and crush it together. Thank you, Al. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day. And I'll see. There's some great CTM Twitter threads going on. I haven't had the opportunity to contribute. I haven't been able to be on Twitter all weekend, but I saw from afar, CTM threads out there providing that valued information. So I just want to thank you all for that. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. God bless you all.